Greetings, humanity, and welcome once again to Channel Underdark. I'm Jim, I use he, him pronouns, and this is Alas for the Angry Void, a reskinning of Alas for the Awful Sea by Storybrewers Roleplaying to tell a gothic science fiction story set among the stars. Once again, we just got a couple of people with us today, and so we're going to be doing a mini session. We'll go ahead and go around and say hi to the folks we have with us here today, find out who they are and who they're playing, and we will start with Hollow. Hello. Muted. All right.
Hello, I'm Hollow. I use he, him pronouns, and I will be playing Jackson Mead, the merchant confidant, who also uses he, him pronouns.
Excellent, excellent. And now we'll head over to Cleric. Hello.
Hello, I'm Cleric of Court. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm playing Vargas the Odd Sea Dog and the creature descriptor.
Yes, excellent.
Totally
excellent.
Human. Yep.
Yes,
Totally
the
very
human.
human.
The perfectly normal human creature.
Yes.
Before we get we die. For me, the joke never gets old. I don't know. So you may see us use safety tools from time to time, like we do with the other games on this channel. We're going to be using the X card, the N card, and the O card. If we hit something that's crossing a line for one of us, any of us can type an X in the Zoom video chat or anywhere else, hold up a card, make an X symbol, and we'll back up and do something else. If something happens that we're okay having in the game, but we don't want a graphic description of it, we can type an N in the Zoom chat and we'll fade to black on it or put it behind a veil. So it'll be there, but we won't go into detail. Finally, if we're exploring a topic or an area of roleplay and that's particularly intense for us, but we want to keep going, we can put an O in the chat to let us know we're okay and that we're all good to keep piling on the drama. Something else we can do is put an O with a question mark after it when we're moving into a difficult topic, or if we say or we do something and then think, maybe that might have been a little too much, then everyone else can respond to that again with an X, an N, or an O to let us know if we're still doing okay. We're also using the pause. If any of us needs to take some time, we can ask for a pause in the game while we discuss things, or just take a break for as long as anyone needs. Just a few content warnings. Once again, this game may contain gothic themes like gloom, despair, intense emotions, macabre scenes, romance, and curses, along with references to violence, alien creatures, colonialism, crime, death, exploitation, family issues, separation from family, homesickness, loneliness, starvation, sudden decompression, the vacuum of space, and vengeance. If you want to see any of that, or rather, if you want to see the any of the content warnings for that, and you're watching live on Twitch, type !CW, and that will display. That'll be also showing up regularly on rotation. I'll just as chat goes through, and finally, please remember we have an open door policy, which means that any of us and any of you can feel free to step away from this at any time if we need to. It's just a game, and mental health is always more important. Now, I have a recap. It's a very lighthearted and joyous story. Yes, I agree. I guess it just depends on your perspective, really. But as for the recap, let's see here. So, a being from beyond the void has reached out and extended an invitation. The Warden, a vast entity that exists across dimensions, is allowing Fergus, the pilot of the CS Chimera, and his companions, to make use of a gateway that can lead to other points in space within the Tauran sector. Each of the five main members of the crew, those whose names you see before you as you're watching here, have been sent a vision showing the location of this gateway and the Warden's intention to allow its use. Of course, when the assassin Levitt Teague received that vision, they were being held against their will on board a different ship entirely, the Timberwolf, the ship of her former mercenary associate Hickory, who now wants them dead for a past betrayal. But she still lives because Hickory is currently working for Levitt's estranged sister, Euphemia Teague. Euphemia, Effie, has revealed to Levitt that she has joined the Ascendancy, a galactic power group composed largely of disenfranchised aristocrats. It turns out their father, Baxter, was a member. Effie discovered this through Wolf Greville, another member of the Ascendancy who was a friend of Baxter's and who recently hired Levitt, evidently at Effie's recommendation, to neutralize a target. The mercenary group is currently under the thumb of the galactic syndicate known as the Cinder Throne, an organization that it seems the Ascendancy, or one or more of its members, might possess ties to. After receiving the vision, Levitt soon found themselves once again in contact with something. A being she first encountered on the Chimera who appears to exist at least partially in digital form, and who they've allowed to inhabit their comm unit. This being deactivated some of the ship's systems, giving Levitt a chance to escape. On her way out, Levitt shot and killed a Cinder Throne thug who was a cousin to Lennox, a sergeant in that organization, who had a fondness for Levitt, but after having witnessed his cousin's death, it seems he feels that way no longer. Levitt has escaped in a shuttle along with Scylla Crane, one of Hickory's mercenaries, who is none too pleased with her employment situation, and another prisoner, Dr. Florence Stoppard, a friend of the Chimera's surgeon, Rust Worsley. Speaking of Rust, he is attempting to find a cure for a programmable alien virus he's had for some time. He's been reading a medical data cube with records from a recent visit he made to a doctor who was recently assassinated, Dr. Coy Shackley. Our protagonists are yet to have an opportunity to discuss things enough with each other to piece together who was responsible for that, but those who have been watching likely know. It looks as though Shackley left a protected layer of data underneath Rust's medical records that is perhaps intended for Dr. Stoppard. We shall see if its contents come to light. After the vision struck, Rust went to talk to Fergus. During this conversation, a news announcement came through from the planet Metaxas, which the Chimera had recently departed in an unusual manner, with the assistance of the Warden. During this departure, Fergus revealed to the security agents in the spaceport's control tower that he is in fact an alien being. This was the subject of the news report. The Chimera has a number of passengers currently, and it fell to Jackson Mead, merchant and purveyor of canned goods, to keep them calm in the wake of this revelation. He has done an admirable job, and the crew has agreed to wait for Fergus and his group. The religious scholar Irina Maynard has perhaps been assisting in keeping the passengers calm. As is often the case, any folks that we don't have here present are sort of in this interesting temporal state where they could be doing any number of things, but they're okay. It does not matter to Jackson or Rust where Fergus originally comes from. They've had a conversation about that and their imminent plans. They've agreed to use the gateway to reach Melis Station, a small religious settlement on a space station elsewhere in the Tauran sector, because time is of the essence. A vast threat to humanity may be arriving in the sector in less than 4 days, and the key to stopping it might be on that station. So, members of the Chimera's crew have found themselves in a large chamber deep below a reportedly haunted castle on Azoth, Metaxas' third moon. They've been led to the chamber by Signe Norman, another member of the Ascendancy, and whose family is connected to the castle and the Warden. The chamber is very old and contains ancient machinery, a number of individuals, and a number of individuals who appear to be locked in some kind of stasis, and a triangular gateway, which is currently inactive. And behind where the gateway stands, just barely perceptible from this plane of reality, is a huge entity shifting around in the darkness. Perhaps in some ways it is the darkness. This is the Warden, who may seem intimidating, but is holding back even greater threats, and will continue to do so for at least the next 4 days. After that, we'll have to see. Let us find out what is happening. So, we're in a dungeon. Maybe we have a dragon. Strangely enough.
Fine. It's fine. It's fine. This is
Everything's fine.
It's fine.
Everything's fine. I was not expecting that to be the case when I started working on this game, but we have spiced ham. That's the important thing, really. We have our protective talismans with us. Yes. Wards off all ills. That's wonderful. That's absolutely. So it's good to know that Jackson also brought his holy symbol. Oh, that's wonderful.
You do a lot of damage just throwing that at somebody.
I know,
yeah,
right?
I'm sure this is like probably a D4, maybe D8.
Yeah, it's that'll get you. That'll get you. So here we are. We're in this very large chamber. Signy has led you folks into this chamber. And we have this thing that we can't see terribly well. It's sort of shifting around in the darkness behind the gate. And, oh, that's right. It greeted you. It said, "We meet at last." What would we like to do?
Well, this was Fergus. They've been coming down, going through this stone, going down into this earth. Fergus was bringing up the back, and he was kind of, he's been humming underneath his breath a little bit, trying to find the resonance of this place. So that's what he was doing until he got in, and then he started to go towards the gate, greeted the creature, and then his attention has been immediately captivated by the people in the beams of light. So he's gonna after greeting these, he starts wandering off towards. He wants to see who these people are, who's in there.
Yeah. And I'm going to specify an interesting thing is that while you're in this chamber, you can. It's not just Fergus that can hear the warden speaking.
Oh, okay.
So everyone can hear when the warden says something here.
Yeah.
So let me see. I need to grab a name here. I've realized. Okay. So, yes, we'll go with this. We'll go with this one. The people are sort of a lot of them are in kind of poses like this. Not all of them, where they've got kind of their hands across their chest. Some of them, a few of them are kind of more just sort of standing stock still. A couple are just sort of looking up, and they're kind of more in like this pose where they have their eyes closed and they're sort of preparing for something. As these like sort of beams of light, you think, that have no discernible source are coming down from above, and holding them in place. I would say there's probably about a dozen of them that you can see here.
Are they all human? Or human appearing?
Yes, okay. They all appear human.
Anybody that he would recognize?
long have you been coming to this planet?
Oh, at least 50 years, 70 years.
Okay. No, this planet, the planet below.
Right.
First time on the moon?
Yes, first time on the moon. I think it's one of those things where, you know how things that bother you or creep you out, you just kind of pretend that they're not, you just give it a wide berth and just ignore it. I think that's what he's always done with the moon. There's always been something about this moon, and Fergus is just like, it ignored its existence, just avoided it. It's always he's always just instinctively avoided.
Yeah. So, and say actually there probably should be more like 24 at least up here. I think probably. None of them are dressed badly per se. A lot of them are dressed sort of neat, sort of in jumpsuit-like things. One of them, Signy is approaching, looking up and down, and it looks like an older gentleman, wearing a kind of a slightly less fancy, just sort of dark, black and gray suit, and she's going over to a control panel that's not far away, and after looking him up and down, and is doing something. One of the many dusty control panels in here. Fergus, you are looking these people over, and it's like, it's hard to say. A lot of these folks look like they I really am trying to decide if I want you to read a situation or not. It's like, do we think that would be helpful here?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Yeah, go ahead and read a situation.
Okay. Let's see. That's brain. Okay.
It is brain.
Oops.
Excellent. Okay. I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah.
So that's a miss, but that's okay. I'm sure nothing terrible will happen.
Nope.
As you kind of go up, you almost like there's a point where you almost are like, and it's like there's a slightly painful jolt, Signy for a second looks up as though like a reading has come up that she's looking and says, do be careful. You don't want to get too close to the field.
Family, friends, prisoners.
Line's an interesting one, definitely family. She
Fergus gets that,
and she points to one that to one just a little bit. To the one you were looking at, and she says, "That's Daddy there." And as you look, you realize I might have seen this guy before, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. He's been around a long time.
Like 50 years ago, maybe around on the planet.
So Fergus, he looks at the guy and he looks at Signy and he goes, "I can see the resemblance."
She smiles, not having any thought about how strange this is. One of the she does something with the controls. You hear this, and one of the lights starts sort of wavering around the gentleman I described earlier in the sort of the black and gray. And this older sort of balding gentleman, and the light wavers, and he's like, ugh. And she's like, "Hello, Erwin. I need you to help me set up the gate." "Yes, mistress. Yes." And he is sort of shaking, sort of looks around for a second as he sort of is stepping stepping away from his position. What is Jackson doing while this is happening?
Sort of taking in the scene. Trying to scry the lines of power. Who's if there are people here, who's who. Who's connected to who has power over whom.
Would you like to read a situation?
Sure.
Alrighty.
Might even be that might be okay. We'll find out. Oh. Oh, roll 20. This week. Read a situation that is.
It's brains.
All right.
So you get 2 questions, and you'll get a +1 on to take any move required to act on my answers to them. I'll go ahead and put the questions down here again.
Okay, let's see here. How many questions do I get? 1?
2.
Two questions. Okay. I like to know what here is not what what here is not what it seems, and what should I be on the lookout for?
All right. So, as you're kind of glancing around, there are a couple of things in play here. I think that just from your observations, there's clearly some sort of dynamic here where whatever this entity is, it has a use for Signy and her family, enough so that key members are being kept in stasis, possibly long past their original lifespans, you'd have to guess. Because, sort of glancing over, some of the clothing styles look older. For the, sort of the space jumpsuit styles type things that they're wearing. So, this has been here for a while.
Era. Acadian era garb, yes.
And, so, like, members of, presumably, the Normans or the Haberlanes here over generations. And so, it's funny because this whole place, the way this looks, it's not exactly like a temple. There is clearly some sort of veneration going on of the being that is here, or not here. It's like only half here, actually, from what you can tell. There's like some kind of spatial anomaly thing going on. But the thing behind the gate isn't really here. You can kind of tell that as well.
I got a weird question, I guess. Are there any mannerisms of Signy that seem mildly archaic besides just being a part of an aristocracy? Because I'm thinking now she's pulled me into this nonsense kind of sorta. She was dealing with Wolf Gravel. I think I may have misread the dynamic there. Now I'm seeing her in her element. Is she pulling all the strings and she's got Wolf Gravel out on the fucking wire?
From what you've been able to determine of their dynamic, you think she thinks she does. But you also have known, at least from afar, you've known Wolf for a while. And what's a good metaphor here? If you it's kind of like, yes, we are our new nominal CEO and outreach person is a giant scorpion. We're sure we're fine.
Oh man.
So that's basically the situation you think with Signy absolutely believes she has control of the scorpion.
Okay.
Now, as to things you should be on the lookout... Oh, and I should point out, yes, it looks kind of like a temple, but it's not exactly, because it is sort of a... It's this weird... And the way she looks up at the warden, there's almost... I need to look at our... Hang on, I need to look at the... I need to just check to make sure what I'm about to say isn't terrible. I'm not even going to say much. I just want to... Okay, I think we're good. There is a certain familiarity between... That even as... And you'll see kind of as things progress, seems to be between her and the thing behind the gate. That might suggest... It's almost looks like a similar familial type regard. And it's hard to say. It's like this thing is on her coat of arms. So clearly there's a deep familial connection to it. But at the same time, it's kind of it's just kind of like she's treating it like an ancient, an old venerated uncle or grandsire of some kind.
Hey, Pawpaw Dragon, what's going on?
Yeah.
Pop pop.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of the sense you're getting. But in any case, so as for what you should be on the lookout for, in addition, there some of that's going to come out, and as we're kind of talking here, because the as there's something about the dynamic here you're starting to suss out. The being speaks again, and it says, "What are those? Why do you have dead flesh in containers?"
Is he talking to me? Oh, God. I will, This is, sustenance for humans.
Oh. You're going over to... Are you going over to feed that station?
In a way, yes.
All right. Who is that behind you? You don't see anybody.
No. Who is behind me?
There is something behind you. There's something standing behind you.
I look behind me, then down.
No, there's nothing down there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I will say Trinket's back on the ship, but according to...
Hey.
Well, Fergus told Trinket to stay on the ship. We don't know what happened, but yeah.
There, I cannot sense anyone behind me.
Do you say that to the...
Yes.
Okay. To the warden. The warden is like, Ah, I see, yes. It's probably one of them.
Who are them? Who are they?
The prisoners. They sense that a time of release is coming. They may be reaching out. You're probably best ignoring them. They will try to advocate for their position.
I see.
Knowing
Okay.
perhaps you will be in a position to say something soon.
I love being important.
Fergus is going to sing to communicate with the being in his language, and he starts humming. And what he hums to the warden is basically that humans eat dead flesh, and they carry it packaged around because it's frowned upon to eat it while it's still breathing.
So I've heard.
As he found out early on in his interactions with humans.
Yeah. Yes.
It saves them from hunting.
Humans are always hunting, just the target changes.
And in that, Fergus replies, "That is very true." And he actually speaks that and not sings it.
So, Signy and Erwin have been working on this old dusty control panel, and these other controls that are set up. Basically, these very old. You can tell sort of the aging metal, and there are even a few cobweb-like things in here. Here around this chamber. And you hear like there's this bank that's close to the gate that slowly is humming to life after they've pulled a number of levers. And you hear this so so Fergus, the hum that you were hearing earlier comes into sharp relief now.
Okay.
And as it's sort of this console hums to life.
He starts harmonizing with it, creating a resonance. And he's wandered over there. He's got his wrench out, and he's wandered over there, and he's just kind of examining the machinery and humming, creating the like I said, harmonizing, listening for any dissonance that indicates that it needs to be that it's not in proper working order, that kind of thing. And he's got his wrench out just in case he needs to tap it.
And Erwin just sort of is the old man who sort of looks up at you for a second, didn't realize you're standing there for a second. He's like, oh, yeah. You
Margaret,
have...
pleased to meet you.
Erwin, sir. He's extending a gloved hand. You are familiar with transdimensional mechanics?
I'm familiar with the mechanics.
And there is an echo. The voice echoes down from above again. He is, though he may have forgotten some of it.
It's been... I've been around a while.
And there comes a point as... Does anyone want to do anything before the gate activates?
Now that he's face to face with this creature, so to speak, I really would like to sense what's beyond with him. I want to stare into the void behind the gate, as you will.
So I just want to double check to make sure that first off, Hollow, I think you were muted for a second. You were also saying something.
I said, I don't have a dragon killing gun. So,
Yeah. Those are unfortunately few and far between. So I just Fergus, I just want to confirm that you would like to sense what's beyond in front of the giant eldritch transdimensional creature. I just want to double check to make sure that's what you would like to do. I'm fine with it. I just wanted to make sure.
He does, again, this is all for hundreds of years. Fergus has essentially lived as a human, alone, not touched by anything that from the void or any of that that he's aware of, and so things are starting to kind of come back to him as this is going on, because this thing is telling him that, no, you used to be this, your people were this, and he's like, he was very young when he left the planet, so he's trying to learn, trying to figure it out. He's tasked himself with stopping the release of the prisoner, and in order to do that, I think he's feeling like he needs to have a better grasp of what the void is, what's beyond, what all of this is that he's forgotten.
Okay. So, yeah, you'll just need to roll plus beyond and connect with the strange at work in the world. 7 to 9, you receive fragments and mysteries.
Great.
I will tell you something new and interesting about the current situation. So, it is something that feels interesting to you, which you notice, first of all, you are kind of looking into the void. And you remember, I think it was not too long ago, I said there was this familiar sense that you hadn't sensed in a very long time. Mm-hmm. It was like of looking over the edge into oblivion. You're kind of getting that again. And you are remembering something, kind of. There was something about your planet that when you when you got on, when you found yourself on board the Gagarin, you remembered they were talking about the planet having some unusual qualities. And the planet they had just rescued you from, as it were rescued. You rescued yourself. You just got on. Yeah. You stowed away.
Yes.
But some unusual dimensional qualities. You're thinking back, and there is this thing where, like, your planet, it's like you can see over the edge of the universe. You can't. There's this thing, or they're saying about your planet. It's not at the edge of the universe, but you can see it from there. They said this about Val. And, there's this some kind of thing where, like, you can't quite put your finger on it, but this being, or beings like it, you thought looked down upon you once. Not looked down upon you as in you're right beneath me. In the literal sense, they looked down upon you. And that is because they are both here and there.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have no idea how that works. You have no idea. You think you might have seen something back then, before you escaped the planet, but it's been so long. It's unclear. And but it had something to do with kind of seeing across reality. And seeing is even the wrong word here. I'm just using the best word I can with my limited human brain and
I'm following
dialogue. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a sense you're getting, this vision of kind of this absolute. It's like if the absolute, if the abyss is not the abyss, but a gateway in and of itself. Not like this gateway exactly, but it's not an eternal end so much as an eternal transit point, maybe.
Okay, yeah. It's kind of Fergus is almost always humming or singing, and he hums to himself, which, I mean, again, the warden will understand. Have remembered dreams and memories so long ago in the cold of seeing and not seeing.
Hmm.
Well, I suppose nothing left to do but to carry on.
Mm-hmm. This is why many of you were tasked to watch. Are we prepared? And Signy is kind of looking up. Oh, yes, I think we should be about ready.
Fergus just is standing at the threshold of the gate, waiting.
All right. Yeah, might as well get this done.
So, within the gate, you see the gate lights along the gate hum to life, and previously concealed sort of little lines of etched power start filling with light along its surface. Ah, yes. And Signy looks up, and you see the center of the gate flash. And there is, in front of you now, a sort of a twisting, multicolored vortex. Signy looks up and says, All right, just a moment. And you can see vaguely through the, it's hard to see exactly what's on the other side, but you can see vaguely. It's like stars, you see stars, and then she makes an adjustment, and then it flashes, and you see what looks like some kind of a room. It's sort of a darkened room. You can't make out a lot of detail, but there are rows, like benches in there. And she says, if you hold for just a moment. All right. Erwin will be here monitoring, and we're going to try to keep the gateway open for a bit, but we will have to shut it down if we see anyone approaching. There should be a means for you to activate it on the other end if it comes down to it. Or I think there should be someone there who can do it. Is that right? And she looks up, and the warden says, yes, there are those there who can. All right, good. And she turns one more knob, and you hear just sort of vroom, and it kind of, the image stabilizes a bit, and she says, okay. Might want to look to make sure, well, yeah, make sure you can see clearly over there before you go over, but we should be ready. And I'm going to tell you what you see on the other side is right now, there is someone sitting in that room right now who's just sort of looking. It looks like they're gathering their things into a bag. It's a woman wearing some kind of a shawl, and she's gathering things into a bag, and looks like she might be in a moment getting ready to leave the room. Possibly. What would you like to do?
Well, Signy, don't wait up, I suppose. Have you ever looked into old Terran fables?
Oh, a few.
There's one I like about the scorpion and the frog. You should read it.
She nods. Yeah. I forgot to answer one of your questions earlier, and that is that her language that she has used in thinking about it up until this point is not archaic, but some of it is a tiny bit behind the times.
Orcus is just standing on the threshold. He's waiting for the woman to at least move out of view before he steps through, because he's not sure what's going to happen.
Just was curious about that.
Yeah, no, he doesn't want to. One of the things that he's learned is that human beings do not enjoy people appearing out of nowhere.
It unsettles them.
It does. It really does. It's a good way to there's screaming, there's hitting, all kinds of things happen when you do that. So that was one of the very first lessons that he learned when he was stowing away on the Gagarin.
Yeah. It's important. It's important. So, staying there, you're waiting, and eventually she gets up. Just like another minute or two. She packs her stuff away, and she stands up, and she steps forward as though she's looking directly into the gate. Not at you, but just looking in the direction of the gate. And just sort of does a thing where she's like... makes some sort of gesture. And she turns, and she steps out of the room.
As soon as she's out of the room, Fergus walks through the gate, and if anybody's watching or looking at him, I get this sense that because it's this transdimensional gateway, that just for a flash of a second, his true form is visible, and then he's Fergus again.
Yeah. It's this
just as he
like,
breaches that threshold, yeah.
And as you step through, there's this slight feeling of like, it's just sort of a slight change in pressure, change in atmosphere. And you have stepped into another room. Jackson, you have seen Fergus step into another room.
All right. All right, I will step through, cans and all.
Okay, they're coming through with you. As you are stepping through, there is the briefest of moments while you're in transition between, you're not entirely in one place, you're not entirely in the other, where it feels for just a second as though there is something with kind of skeletal hands clinging to your shoulders. And this brief, again, sound, we don't know if you're hearing it or it's in your head, of someone saying, "Soon you will have all the power over who dares remain in your presence." And then it's gone. It's this moment when it's like sort of your ears pop, probably. There's this moment where, because you're changing you're going from a one type of atmospheric bubble to another. You're on a moon with atmosphere, and then you've stepped onto a space station with a different kind of atmosphere. And there's the sound of distant bells. And the two of you will find yourselves in what looks like a kind of a small chapel. The walls are this sort of have a kind of a sort of tannish facade up the sides, and there's subdued lighting. There are benches in front of you, and as you step forward, you kind of note that behind you there's this slowly shifting, it looks like a pattern of graffiti on the wall behind you. In the walls of this chapel, it looks like they've been built up. The wall behind you is more like an interior kind of space station wall. It's more metallic. And it's kind of like this chapel was built more recently around this section of wall in the space station.
Orcus is humming the tone that he heard from the machinery on the other side that was operating the gate from that side. And he's humming. So he starts humming, trying to see if he can locate the machinery on this side. That way, if he knows where it's at, if they need to go back through it.
Ah. I hate to tell you this, but this means you're going to need to sense what's beyond again.
Okay, here we go. Could be worse.
It could be. It absolutely could be. So you're here. It's like... And you're looking, and what you see... It's like... It's abstract graffiti. It's not...
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have specific... fully realized images or words in it. You don't see any obvious machinery near it. But what you do see is this sort of almost... there are patterns that sometimes show up. And, like, you sort of look, and you see they kind of have a defined sort of triangular thing about them. And so it's difficult to say. The way this one works is a little bit different. Best you can imagine, they set up machinery to get that one going, but this is a kind of a... Well, it's not exactly a natural point in space because extra-dimensional creatures did it. But it's a point in space and the humans built stuff around it, right?
Okay.
Here, that manifests as this shifting graffiti pattern.
Okay.
So there is, you think, a mechanism. It's just not going to be the same as the one on the other side.
Okay.
It's like there's something perhaps has to be done with the graffiti, but you're not sure exactly what that is.
Okay. He's thinking to himself that it makes sense that they built this chapel here on this station, and that the station is here. He's starting to understand why this station is, why it's here, why it's a place of veneration. That it's just kind of, he gets it now that it's drawing. It's a point where it's drawn these types of beings, people, whatever, to it.
Have you been to this station before?
Yes, but it's been a very long time. It's probably been a good 30 years or so.
Okay.
And I mean, he got off the ship when he visited there, but he was, I think at that point, they were mainly ferrying passengers.
Mm-hmm.
It was more when they were doing more of cruise ships kind of thing.
Yeah.
So ferrying passengers.
You think this place? You think this place has always been here, but people don't typically want to see it very much. They're not.
Right.
It's a novelty. The shifting graffiti.
Yeah.
And so there have been a lot of assumptions folks make that's like, oh, they're just cashing in on a weird phenomenon,
Mm-hmm.
basically, or they do it with holograms or
Yeah,
whatever.
and there's, if I'm not mistaken, he's aware that one of the reasons why Irina actually wanted to come here is because there are relics from her religion of a saint's relics there. Yeah. So he's. I mean, that's kind of up
Yeah,
to now.
this
that's
isn't the
been his
big
level of
chapel.
knowledge.
There's
Yeah.
the big one, the cathedral, quote unquote, is in kind of another wing. I say wing. It's this is a
Yep. Yeah. So he
the station is kind of shaped kind of like a cathedral, but it's sort of, oh god, I'm going to be very bad at explaining this until I actually draw something sometime soon. But it's kind of more like a castle in that you have these kind of four towers, and you have this outer ring, and then you've got 8. Because again, because you've been here before, you know this layout.
Yeah.
You're going to have these 8 passageways that, you have the big outer corridor, and then you've got these narrower inner corridors that go to the center where the hub is, and the hub goes around a lot where like engineering and all that is located. It keeps the station spinning.
Yeah.
This is in a different spot. They're kind of on near one of the corners, and the big sort of cathedral portion is more up middle.
Okay.
There's this one thing that goes like from the hub. They do like processions occasionally and stuff. Again, not a huge population of people here. I need to stress that again. It's not a lot of people here generally, but they do have their ceremonies. Obviously, the monks that live here. It's an abbey, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
If that makes any sense. But so here you just have this you're both in this chapel, and Fergus has looked and kind of started figuring things out about the wall. What would you like to do?
Wait for Jackson. You have business here, yeah.
Yeah, business here. Been through so much.
You ever been on the station?
Yes.
I suppose we should be on our way then. I need to see what I can find out about brethren here.
All right. Guess yes, I have to go turn in some credentials to get going here.
Yeah. The rep that you need to talk to, Jackson, is Bennett Wilson. She is the proprietor of the station's gift shop.
Okay. All right. So let's go talk to Bennett and see what there is to see.
Okay, so you are... I'm going to start with you on this one. So you are heading over you're sort of going to the sort of market area. I don't have... I think I need to draw a map sometime soon. But right now what you see... as you step out, you find yourself outside of you're outside of this smaller chapel that has been built in the middle of this big kind of hallway near one of the corners of the station. The station has 4 corners, and so we're sort of seeing where you are. It doesn't take you too long. You just need to get a little bit a ways down one of the hallways, and it'll take you to sort of the market area, which is they're kind of it's all, most of the market area is like on one side, in one of the bigger promenade corridor type deals. And so as you're coming around, you're going to see a number of folks that are that are here. A lot of folks here are dressed simply. You see every now and then you see someone wearing a monk's robes. But as the monks are the ones in charge of this station, you see that there are a number of folks here. Most of them are tourists. So there are people sort of going back and forth between these different stalls, different booths, kind of buying different different items. Most of them sort of religiously themed items. But you have your standard kind of you have your standard places that sell food and different curios and things like that. The main gift shop is right next to, right across from one of sort of the in the middle of this, about the middle section of this big corridor, just on the opposite side from where there's a turn that one can turn into, that if one wants to go toward the hub of the station. You see, basically, it's this this shop that folks can step into if they wish. It does have it has a window that that folks can sell stuff kind of over the counter there, but folks can also step inside around the counter and look around the gift shop, as it's more as where basically you have some kind of a kiosk. And this place has a lot of it's sort of the stuff that you would see in kind of an airport gift shop, I want to say. Lots of number of books, a number of sort of travel supplies, but then also it's a gift shop, so you have a number of. See how terrible do they get? I don't think that the monks would allow graven images of Saint Caledron, so you probably don't have any plushies or anything like that.
Okay.
But there are things like sort of photograph type things. There are little sort of holy symbols folks can buy, that kind of the usual kind of stuff. But then sculptures of the station, that kind of deal. Sculptures of different kinds of ships, mementos. And behind the counter is a woman who looks like she's in her. She has sort of long dark brown hair. She looks like she's in her 40s maybe. She just sort of finishes up with a customer, giving her this thing in a little gift box, and she just sort of, her hair sort of pulled back. She's sort of kind of bustling around, sort of getting things into place, typing things into this terminal that she has in front of her, and she looks up and sort of sees the pallet you have behind you, the hovering pallet, and she sort of looks up. You got quite a burden there.
A bit.
What can I do for you?
Well, I'm definitely looking for the best way and the best location to lighten this burden, as he slides over the credentials.
She looks at them for a second. Mr. Mead. I got to communicate just a little while ago. She says, kind of taking them down. I got something for you here. One moment, and she'll basically get her this kind of a stamp type thing that she sets on a thing. It's sort of this electronic stamp she sets down on a sort of next to this electronic page that you have set down, so that it's now just basically you are brought into the under the station gift shop, basically, as an authorized vendor. And she looks up. Right, so right, that should take care of that bit. You need so you're looking for a good spot, yeah?
Yes.
Ah. So let's see. And she sort of is looking up and down, and you see her sort of. She sees you here, and she sort of looks at her. And is like, you know, actually, you surprised me. I didn't expect you for until a little bit later.
Once I realized I could secure the deal, I made haste.
Ah. You got here very fast, then. And she's sort of looking down. So the original spot probably was not gonna, that I was thinking of for you, is not gonna be, probably not gonna be open for another 4 hours or so. But I do have a space I think you can use up until then, if you wish.
Excellent.
I actually do need to ask you a question now that I am thinking about it, because logic has sadly intervened in my cranium.
Okay.
When did you last sleep?
Probably a wink right after dealing with Signy and right before the nonsense.
Okay.
Maybe a wink there. Maybe one wink. Maybe Jackson's like, I should probably just sleep for 4 hours. Maybe. If you have a good spot already, I'll wait till 4. I will actually would like to find some accommodations.
All right, then. That's perfectly fine. If you like, then I can give you... Hang on. There. And she gets a little electronic key that she says... in the meantime, if you like, there's space for your inventory in Unit 16. If you like, I'll give you access to that.
Okay.
And so she'll bring the key forward, and it'll basically it can interface. It basically will transfer to your comm, and you can basically use your comm to open it. So then she says, all right, so there are a couple of places should be available if you'll be needing accommodations. Yeah, so the habitat's across the way from here. Fastest way you can, if you want to go through the hub, you just take that corridor down, and then around all the way, take it to the opposite end, and that's where the so that's where the hotel is, if you'd like to stay there. There's a hostel a bit further down. If you want something a little cheaper, there's a hostel a little further down on the left from there. So that's where you're mainly gonna find things. It's we're getting closer to the off season, so you probably should be able to get accommodation in either one of them.
All right then.
Is there anything else I can do to help you?
You've been plenty of help, but thank you.
I'm glad to serve. And she's sort of looking up and down, and just sort of there's something she just sort of she looks and just sort of nods approvingly at something about your presentation, and she says, well, good sales then.
Thank you.
And yeah, she was. Yes, this is someone who's been here quite some time and was very eager to be very helpful. So you have you have your information. What would you like to do?
I will stop by locker 16 and put my things away so I'm not carting them around everywhere. Maybe avoid another scuffle in the middle of the streets that I wasn't involved in.
Yeah. It's always an issue. Yeah, gotta make sure you're good.
Yeah, so put the food away, then lock it up, then go to the first hotel she mentioned.
Excellent. Okay. That should not be difficult. You find the storage unit. Those are on this side, and so you can just sort of find the spots. Occasionally, you will pass by areas in the sort of the kind of there's a food court where you can look out and see these. Not exactly like a mall food court, but you see there the windows out of which you can see the large planet beneath. You're able to come out and find the storage units down a small hallway, a slight hallway where it's like you can basically where the public storage units are. You find number 16. You open it up. You get the pallet to hover itself in there. And you close the unit down. Let's see. Then you're going to be able to turn and find your way to the opposite side. Is there anything you'd like to do or are looking out for on the way?
Other members of the Ascendancy. Other people wearing that strange crest, maybe, Signy's crest, because they have a portal here. It
True.
seems like they can kind of have a portal anywhere, but maybe not. I'm not sure about that, but it's just I just need to know who I'm dealing with. How big is this really?
Okay. I think we're just going to do another read a situation here because that's really the sort of the investigative catch-all thing for what we're doing, and it'll kind of give us what. Oh, hey! Did you just roll that?
Yeah, I just rolled that.
Okay, that's a 10. That's very good. So you get 3 questions. I'm going to go ahead and repost the questions here. As you're looking around, but yeah, you're gonna start to get a good sense of stuff happening here.
All right, let's see here. What should I be on the lookout for?
Okay.
That's my first question. So yeah, I'll start there.
Sorry, I'm just starting to.
Yeah.
What should you be on the lookout for? So you were trying to find any other members of the Ascendancy, anyone else who might have her crest, or anyone who might be in control. Okay. You're realizing as you look around that whoever is here, if there are people here who know how to use the portal from this end, they have probably disguised themselves. Or they do not want to make themselves obvious. They probably live here. And you don't see anyone with sort of the same kind of the crest, or anyone who's dressed like they're from the Ascendancy. You don't see any Ascendancy blades here. So it could be one of the monks. It could be some of the monks, possibly, that might be, which kind of makes sense in that they'd be in charge of that. But if that's the case, just from the sense you're getting from the people that you're seeing and the dynamics that you're seeing, if it's someone among the monks, then that means that it probably would have to be someone who's been here for quite a while. As if it's like, this, but it makes the most sense in that it's like this duty is handed down, right? And that's the organization that's been here longest, and that chapel belongs to them. So you're going to notice that of the monks that you see, some are dressed in slightly darker robes. And there are not as many of those. It's like this, so you've got primarily brown, and then you've got this kind of bluish black. And the bluish black robed ones, you don't see many of those.
Okay.
But it occurs to you they've got to have like a different function or something different that they do.
I guess another weird question, just like looking at these monks. These monks kind of like have like sort of like, you know, like pseudo Catholic vibe where they are wearing vestments over better vestments. Like they have a place where they disrobe and you know, and like, you know, and you know, and like, oh, I can show myself to the church, but not to the outside world, that sort of thing.
A little bit. It is a little bit like that. It's not ostentatious in quite that way. The same. It's not quite as ostentatious seeming. But yeah, there is a bit of that going on. Yeah.
Okay. Well, my first question. Hopefully that informs my other question. Who or was my biggest threat? Yeah.
So, a lot of these people do not seem overtly threatening. Most of these people don't see. No one here seems overtly threatening that you have seen at this point. I need to specify. There is, you kind of almost have a sense. You know, it's like, okay, this seems relatively calm for like some sort of universe-shattering thing that might be happening slowly. So they're probably blissfully unaware of whatever it is.
Good for them.
Which is both a help and a hindrance. Because when shit hits the fan, that means you're gonna have to deal with that and work around them if they do not know what is going on. There is so you don't think anyone here is trying to deliberately like threaten you directly. Some folks might be protective of certain things, possibly, because again, they're probably very protective of the relic. Which, if you feel like it, you can go by and see where they keep the relic. It's more like you know, don't. As long as you don't mess with us, then you're fine. Okay. However, yeah, it's like, yeah. So the biggest threat would just come from. Oh God! Now I'm remembering layers here. Okay. The biggest threat would probably come from the outside, whether that's an extra dimensional being or whether that's someone messing with them. There is also, as you're pretty quickly able to find the hotel, and it looks like the prices aren't too bad for someone of your. I'm trying to remember what your wealth level is.
It is well off.
Oh, you're fine. Yeah, it's actually this for you. This is kind of cheap, almost. But there is something about. You're not clear on what this is, but there is something about this whole thing that almost feels like it was too easy.
This the whole thing, getting all the things, getting here, doing all this. Yeah.
That there's something a little too easy about the fact that, like, whoever the powers that be are, they want you to sell stuff here.
And that will somehow perfectly allow. I mean, they were spinning the yarn. I was like, if you're gonna reverse me, like, great. But like, how do my ham selling plans factor into the future of the byways? You know, like,
yeah,
like I have dreams, but also, I mean, I may have bought my own hype a little bit, but at the end of the day, I do just sell ham. Like,
yeah. And it's like this galactic organization, and yeah, I mean the smaller organization that the Quantum Line Initiative is fine. This isn't relevant to your question though. I just remembered something else, but Actually, it is relevant because it's kind of where we've gone with this. You will see, by the way, as you kind of have made, as you sort of made it sort of into the area where the hotel is, kind of on the left side of the station, standing, and there's a kind of an observation deck where you can see standing there, looking out. You will recognize Adira Basara, the geophysicist from the meeting that you were at, of the Quantum Line Initiative. And they are just sort of out there, just sort of happily staring out, looking at just looking at to the other side of the station. So they're looking at the stars right now, but they're kind of just sort of saying they're looking around. They're kind of taking notes on a pad of some kind right now, but they are here. And I guess the question is, do you allow yourself to be seen by them?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. They'll turn, and they'll be surprised. They'll be like, "Oh," they'll wave.
Hello.
Ah, Mr. Mead. They're very, very excited, as they are, sort of a little bit shorter, dark hair and dark aspect, and they look at sort of and they're again, they're just, they're wearing travel clothes again still, and they look over, and it says, oh good, I heard there was something, I'd heard a transmission of something about a flight ban of some kind. I got on a ship just before they like an hour before they apparently banned travel over there.
Yes.
I'm glad you got over.
Yeah, I booked something very private, very exclusive.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, good to see you. Good to see you. It's are you? And she nods. She sees your pin. The Quantum Line pin, and she's like, cool. Oh, excellent. So are you gonna be here talking to folks about the Quantum Line?
Yes, I will be.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's great. I'm probably gonna be doing a presentation later, for some folks. Sort of see what we can get together. So if you want, you feel free to come to that if you like. It's gonna be over
absolutely.
and she tells you where it's gonna be and when. They tell you where it's gonna be and when. And they will basically, as you are talking to them and they're kind of starting to rabbit on a little bit about they ask you the usual sort of how was your flight and that kind of stuff. They're starting to get into pleasantries. They seem genuinely interested, and it's also I'm gonna just to specify here they're just being very friendly, and you think that's just their nature. They also are probably clueless about, or probably not even thinking about how easily they got here, but. It's although it might not even be a thing for them. It's hard to say. But they probably also have no answers to these questions that have been occurring to you.
Right. Yep.
But they might have different insight about certain things. Who knows?
Yeah, it's been lovely catching up. I do need to fresh up a bit before sale call.
Oh right, I'm so sorry. Yes, no, absolutely. We'll we'll meet up later. It's no problem.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, hope you enjoy your stay. Yeah. And they go back to they see something shiny and they start walking toward it. Basically, is how this goes. They find something interesting else to go and look at. You'd still have a question left, by the way, if at some point you want to.
I do. I should probably ask that now. Let's see here. What is my best way in, way out, or way past all of this? Like how do I like pivot this to just get out of here intact?
So, you have a couple of options. One, the one that's going to be most difficult is, well, I say most difficult. The one that's, I don't know if it's the most difficult. One that's going to be the one that folks would think about at this point, that is, or folks think that you would think about at this point, that's like, okay, well, probably the way that they're talking about is, getting back to the gate and hoping that it's open, or finding out how the hell to make it work. That's one way, but that way probably involves getting entangled, and I don't know how entangled you want to be with all of this.
I mean, I'm pretty damn entangled,
True.
Like already.
Another way would be, well, it's like since Adira is here, there are other there must be ships here. You see people here, so it's like, you know at least one or two people on this station. You probably will be able to find one or two other folks that will at least be sympathetic to a person trying to make money here, and be like, well, if worst comes to worst, you might be able to hitch a ride on an outgoing vessel if you need to. So that's another possibility. Best way, in, out, or past. Main thing is, I think, to keep an eye out, to be alert for the next thing that may or may not happen. The advantage you have is that you are here a lot sooner than anyone was expecting, because of this thing that Fergus did with the gate. So that does mean you will have a certain element of surprise and be able to take advantage. You'll be ahead of anyone else who's trying to pull something here. You're here. If someone has weird unfolding plans, you are here in advance of those plans by at least a good 8 to 12 hours.
Right. I'm going to take a 2-hour nap instead of a 4-hour nap, and I'm going to go find some stimulants.
Alrighty. So you make your way to the hotel, and it's very simple. You're able to get checked in and get a room. They have basically, the rooms where you can, on this side of the station, you can't really, you can see the planet when the station rotates around to it, but they can give depending on what sort of view you want. If you want to be able to see the planet, it's a gas giant. But it's basically it's a nice room. It's very upscale. They have, it's not a huge room. This is a space station,
right.
But it's pretty kind of like. Have you ever been to a microtel?
Unfortunately, yes. I'm 6'6" and I hate it.
It's bigger than a microtel, but it is just as clean. I will specify, I've only been to one microtel in my life, and it was incredibly clean.
Yes, it was so clean. It just was so small.
Yeah. So this is bigger than that. Obviously, this is built with an interesting thing. I do need to explain. The hallways, the ceilings are very high in this throughout this space station. And I'm not just saying that as an accommodation thing. They want it to look. They want to give everyone the idea that they are in some part of an abbey when they are here. So they are going for vaulted ceilings, basically. So I just wanted to make sure I made that clear also. So you will not run into that problem on this space station.
Okay.
So you will. Is there anything you want to do before you try to catch a few winks?
No, I think that Jackson's like, I haven't slept much. I need to I need to sleep some and then tackle other stuff. Since I'm here early, I can take advantage of the fact that I can get a little sleep.
Excellent. I'm going to switch over to Fergus in just a moment, but I have a question that I need to ask that I'm going to note the answer for. And perhaps come back to if need be.
Okay.
When you sleep, this is kind of a subconscious thing. I'm asking you a question about your character's subconscious.
Sure, I love those.
Do you want to see the thing that's standing behind you?
So consciously Jackson would say no, but subconsciously Jackson would say yes because he still deals on. He would love to disavow the beyond, but data is data.
Okay. I'm just going to make a quick note here that, let's see, Jackson's subconscious wants to see the thing behind him. Okay. All right. Excellent. You drift off into a bit of a void for a while, into a bit of an abyss, because you only got a little bit of a wink a little while ago, and it comes to claim you, as the void claims us all. And now we head over to Fergus. Fergus.
Drink.
Yes. Yes. Fergus.
Yes.
You are headed to try to find something familiar, yes?
Yes. Yes. When the very first time he spoke to the entity, to the warden, they told him there were 3 possible ways to prevent the prisoner from getting out. And one of them was to come to this place of veneration, that there were brethren here.
Yes.
And he took that to understand he was told that in the other place elsewhere, schemes around one of our children, my brethren might help.
Yes.
At this place of veneration. So he's thinking back on everything that he's learned so far. And so he's going to start wandering the station. Eventually, I think his eventual goal is going to be where the saints' bones are, where the relics is kept, and the mummified. But he's going to take a roundabout way. It's not like he's heading straight there. He's taking a roundabout way, and as he's doing so, he's humming the tune that he uses to speak to the warden.
Okay.
Kind of like almost like kind of an introduction type thing. So if there are any of the Ba there, they'll recognize.
Right. Yeah. Oh. You're frozen. Are you still with us? Go! Hello? There was, I think, a, now... Oh, hey, you back?
Am I back?
Yes,
okay.
I can see you.
Okay, so it's I was sorry. I was just gonna say it looks like I had an internet glitch. Sorry.
Okay. No worries. Oh, no problem.
So,
no problem. I was thinking.
yeah.
Oh, is it monsoon time?
Yeah. I mean, actually, we've been totally unrelated, but heat has been an issue apparently with our internet provider, which we thought they had it fixed, but keep our fingers crossed.
Right.
So he's wandering the hallways, singing,
Yes.
humming, hoping to connect with somebody or something. He's feeling, part of him is feeling kind of isolated. This is the first time he's really been off by himself in a in an unknown place, without anyone who kind of understands who he is or what he is. He doesn't have Trinket with him. He's feeling the loss of that presence, of that companionship, and he's nervous. He's really nervous about what he's going to come across here, but this is important. So
yeah, definitely. Okay, so the time has come once again to sense what's beyond.
What's beyond? Yep. Okay, here we go.
Ooh, that's an excellent
yeah.
roll.
I'll take that.
Excellent
Visions
roll.
and truth.
Yeah. Visions and truths. I need to know, also, just as a minor thing, a side thing, because I asked Jackson about this. I need to ask you about this. Well, first of all, how often does Fergus need to sleep?
Not very. Maybe every few days or so.
Okay, you're good. You're fine.
Yeah.
So
nobody's ever seen him sleep.
Yeah. Why would they? Visions and truths, yes. Okay. Let me look at this note that I wrote several months ago. Let me see if I can find what I'm looking for. There we go. Okay, I got it. Yes. You wander the halls, taking the long way around, humming your song of introduction. You will at some point, because you're not going there directly, you'll be able to though see, you kind of end up at the hub for a moment and you look sort of beyond and you can see beyond. You sort of look, you are looking beyond, but you sort of look and you see up the hall from the hub. There's you get the lay of the land where this is kind of, if you're heading north, it's rotating,
right.
So I can't really. I need space station language soon. I will try to figure out between now and next time.
I'm visualizing it. I've got it in my head.
If you were looking at a map and looking at the north end of the map, from here is where kind of it's like the north hallway is different from all the other hallways in that it's kind of where the cathedral starts, the cathedral proper starts,
okay.
The abbey starts. So you can see this thing that sort of looks like, it's almost like kind of, it's not a, it's kind of a sort of a darker, sort of metallic, more looking thing, that, aged metal, that was like the first part of this, one of the earliest parts of the station. So you see that. And you're like, there's an echo down that way and back, but you don't sense... You sense a tiny, tiny thing. A tiny, tiny thing. Of like... a remnant. Or something that... It's the feeling not like you, but it's a feeling like something that's sort of halfway, kind of like that feeling of the communicating with the warden a little bit. That's one thing you're going to notice, but then it's not significant enough. I think it's like, is that the relic? That might be the relic.
Okay.
It's hard to say. But then you sort of feel like, I think there's this impulse that you have, it's like, but there's another echo coming from sort of the quote-unquote southwest end of the station.
Mm-hmm.
That feels a little more familiar. And more present. And so you're going to find yourself, presumably. Do you want to chase that down first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. As soon as he got the first tiny echo, he took like 2 steps and then got distracted by the other echo, and just spun around and headed that direction.
You head there, down these corridors that occasionally there are windows and you can see out. This is an interior corridor, so you can actually see out the window to other parts of parts of the station, which is big and cathedral-like.
He's also keeping an eye out for more of that graffiti.
Yeah, you don't see any. That's the only place you've seen. Strangely,
the only place has been on that. Yeah,
has been on that one wall.
Interesting.
Where the graffiti should. I guess there are going to be places where people will have tried sprayed graffiti, but it's one of those things where it's like, it's being cleaned up, that kind of thing.
Yep. Yeah.
Again, I put in the handout a couple of references, sort of, for what the space station should look like. And so it's sort of a combination of the things I'm putting there. But you make it down to that area, sort of down the sort of southwest tower area.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see and again, you've got you see ports again. They're usually the corner itself is the corner. Each of these corners are typically ports for ships to land. or ships to dock. There are places all around the station for ships to dock. But here's a docking ring. But you will see as you sort of are looking through. So it's just like it's a docking area. And this echo comes back to you again. It's sort of the Marco goes out and the Polo comes back from an area where there's another tiny chapel. Another tiny chapel that looks very sort of off to the side. It has it has all of the usual markings of the Order of Saint Caledron is part of the Church of the Eternal Divinity. The space C of E type deal, essentially.
Yeah.
And the Order of Saint Caledron is more like the Space Franciscans. Basically.
Got it.
To just freaking say the words and put it there.
Yep.
But this is like, it's like as you're approaching it, you're coming down a hallway and you can't see it clearly. It's like for a second you see someone, and you've seen monks around from time to time in brown robes, and there's for a second it's like you see a monk in a darker robe, a sort of a bluish black robe, step into the cathedral, not the cathedral, into the chapel. And as you come out, you see this chapel, and it has similar markings to the Order of Saint Caledron. Obviously, you'll need to take a moment if you want to try to, if you want to study it, but that's up to you. Or you could go inside, or you could stand out here and look around. You could do a number of things.
Yeah, I think he gives it a glance to see what sticks out. He's not studying it, but he's familiar enough with the symbols of Saint Caledron, so it's more of when you look at something and you go, there's something slightly off, so you kind of look a little bit closer to see if you can figure it out, but it's not the important thing for him. The important thing is following that monk into the chapel, but he wants to see if he can at a glance figure it out.
At a glance, you're not going to get anything too unusual about it. It just looks like it's a tiny bit. There's something different about it.
Mm-hmm.
But this definitely still looks like a Caledrite thing. You step into the chapel.
And he's still humming.
Yeah. And you see that there are, again, it's a little bit, it's bigger than the chapel that you were in than the graffiti chapel.
Okay.
There are like proper backed benches here. Not quite pews, but the space pews are in the Space Cathedral. Here we have just benches with backs. And sort of this sort of nice, it's interesting because I have to think about this. It feels a little warmer here, in a pleasant way. How should I put this? Does Fergus like it when it's cold, or does Fergus like it when it's warm?
Fergus likes it warm.
Okay, is warmer.
He's very much a temperate individual.
Yeah. It's a little warmer in here. There are torches. A couple of low lit torches. The lights in here aren't up too high. And so you've got these sort of brands standing around that are glowing mildly. The light's a little dim in here, kind of like it was in the other chapel, the graffiti chapel. But there's one of the monks is kind of at the far end, kind of just sort of setting some things up, setting some things out near sort of a podium. Like there's going to be, he's cleaning basically.
Okay.
And he sort of looks like he's heading toward the back. He's going to go into sort of a back room. And sort of as you're stepping forward to, you get about halfway in, I want to say, as he's about to enter one of the back rooms. And from behind you, a voice comes and says, "Welcome. What brings you here?"
Is it speaking like the common tongue, or are they singing to him? Does he hear it as singing, or is it in his language?
It is both.
Oh. So he's going to take a step forward before turning around. He wants to put just a little bit more distance between them because he doesn't know what he's going to be facing. But he does, I'm guessing he's sensing somebody close and he doesn't want to be within arm's reach of them, or what he can think of as arm's reach. So he takes a step forward and turns around and sings back. I heard an echo.
You see before you a big man in a dark robes. He has dark skin. He's bald. And he has facial hair kind of in a similar pattern to yours.
Okay.
Dark facial hair. And we just sort of, and let's see, sort of cocks his head, sort of looking at you. And sort of leans, he says, and he's speaking in the common tongue at this point, the human tongue. The human tongue. He says, "It's interesting. This isn't usually the first place people stop. When one just sort of randomly wanders in. Being near one of the ports perhaps helps." Sometimes people perhaps imagine they hear things. But people have all manner of business here. So, what one hears is often up to one's interpretation. Don't you agree?
Not always.
Immutable fact. Are Is that what you're referring to?
Well, not all who wander are lost. But, I know what I heard. Because I haven't heard it in a long time.
Well, sometimes we can all be called to hear it. We can sometimes all hear a calling to take us to a place we think we should be, a place we think we should belong.
I was told I needed to be here. That I could find help here from my brethren, or those like me.
Told? By whom?
The Warden. And that name he sings.
I forget. Does your species have eyelids?
I think they have more like a nictitating membrane.
Okay. You hear him blink.
Love it.
In the way that your people do. And his face kind of falls. Does the Warden... Actually, he's not even going to say it out loud.
Okay.
Are there those who imagine, perhaps, that we are not doing our jobs?
No, not it's not so much that, it's here's the thing. There's a planet. It's about 4 days away from being essentially destroyed because one of the Warden's charges is going to be released. Trying to prevent that from happening. Because there's folk on that planet that mean something to me.
He needs assurance that you are speaking the truth. I am... But this is a rough one because...
How about I read another's thoughts?
You could read another's thoughts. That could do it. Or you could... you have a move. You have a help me move. Possibly that could apply here. But actually, no. You know what? I don't even know that it would because the results of that he's here.
Right.
So yeah, reading another thoughts might be the best way through here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would showing my true form help?
It might. See, I almost want to do a manipulate another here. Just because, like...
Yeah. He's not beautiful, though.
The thing... Well, he's not, but that's the thing, is the situation is such that... is that like he needs assurance. And that's the closest thing to like I need to getting assurance from someone. Although I will ask, do you have any plus ones for a previous thing?
Would that? Well, it all ties back to that first one. Yeah. So yeah, I could do a +1 on it because it does tie back to that first thing.
I was wondering about that because it kind of, you did a thing.
Right. Yeah. Way back. So yeah. So he could put. Yeah, I could put the +1 to use on this one. So I'm not trying to. Okay. I tell them what I really want. Okay. Yeah. I guess I'm going to manipulate.
Okay. Let's see how this goes. I have a -1 to this. Okay. So. Is it a net of -1 at this point, or is it a...
No, it's a net 0 at this point.
Okay, net 0. Okay. You could do worse.
No, I could.
But not by much. All right.
Yeah, that's a...
Hang on. Well, no, and this really
actually,
isn't...
Yeah, so it's actually a 2.
Yeah, this isn't a huge one. Okay, yeah, no, it's a 2. It's a 2. No, the lowest possible total you can get on 2 dice. So here's the thing. I think he will step forward. His position shifts and it's effortless. The way in which he shifts. As he steps forward. And he will say to you, "We have a task that we are not going to stop performing anytime soon. And your master will not dissuade us from it."
More like an acquaintance. I don't know anything about your task.
And he will come forward, and you can see a little bit of a couple of rows of his teeth as he lets them be seen for a second. And he says, "Perhaps this does not occur to you, but we keep a great distance between ourselves for a reason." And for a moment, the other monk comes back out. And you hear him say, and you have no reason. This monk just looks like a regular schlub, but you don't know if this is maybe this guy, that one's probably human. And he comes out and he says, "Everything all right, Brother Cormac? Everything all right?" And the person who's been addressed as Brother Cormac, without looking away from you, he says, "Not at all. We just have some curious onlookers. I believe our guest was just leaving."
So that's
and you have this sense of barely contained rage.
Fergus looks,
and there is a song just welling up underneath that you're not sure you want to hear.
Yep. Yeah. Fergus looks. I know nothing about any of that. I'm not here to get into that. I came looking for help. So I'm guessing the answer is no.
And
I'll find another way. And he starts to move to step past Brother Cormac.
to step past Brother Cormac? You're trying to step further into the chapel?
Oh, he's between me and the I thought.
Oh no, you're right. You're right. He blocked the way out. You're right. No, you're right.
Yeah.
You gonna step past him? Okay.
Yeah.
It'll be this thing where it's like as you're he's not gonna block you. He's not gonna stop you.
Mm-hmm.
But you sort of hear this almost this low guttural growl that you know only you can hear as you go past him. And as you are exiting the chapel, you hear sung, "If you want to help, understand us first." And I think that is actually where we are going to bookmark it for today. Because you hear that, and perhaps if you turn around, he's no longer there.
Okay. Yeah, I think he turns around to start talking to him, and then realizes that he's no longer there, and just first he's been pretending to be a human, acting human for so long that this type of discourse is he doesn't know how to have that. Because he knows nothing, and he wants to be able to explain this to the guy. I have no clue. Look, I'm just, I've been pretending to be this for a couple of 100 years. I have no clue what's going on,
It is very clear to you there's a thing going on here that you do not yet quite understand.
Yep. Yep.
But... And so it's like, the fact that he's saying that to you does not mean the door is eternally closed.
It
just means...
he's got things to learn.
He wants you to be sure you're not going to be stepping in it at this point. If he actually does take this conversation further. Excellent. And also, apparently, he thought you were working directly for the warden, which is perhaps a little disturbing.
Yeah.
So many things happening. I thank you for joining us. If anyone watching, I thank you for playing today, folks. And I'm glad we made it to the station. I'm so happy we made it to the station. I finally get to use the notes I wrote down months ago. So very, very pleased, very pleased. We're going to go ahead and do our outros. Feel free to tell folks where they can find you and any final thoughts about this session. And once again, we are going to start with Cleric.
Hello, I'm Cleric of Cord. I use she, her pronouns. This is all I'm really doing right now. I lurk in a bunch of various Discord servers and Blue Sky. Just social interactions can be exhausting, even online. Hopefully got some things in the pipeline. Don't know how that's going to go, but yeah, for now, I'll see you here next Sunday. As for what went down, Fergus is being, poor Fergus. He's so clueless. He's so clueless. He's just like, I'm just trying to help my friends. That's all I want to do is help my friends. I don't want to see a planet destroyed. I don't want this thing that could kill all the life in this area be released. So I'm just trying to keep that from happening, and then everybody's like, I don't care. I'm just...
It's understandable. It's understandable.
He's like, I don't want to be dragged into anything I'm not here to mess with you. Just trying to find some information, get some help. So he's wondering, he's just like, maybe he just needs to take Trinket and run.
That's a viable course of action if you should choose it.
Yeah, he won't because of his friends, but he's kind of invested in keeping them alive. He's lost enough people in his lifetime.
Oh,
so
yeah. Fair enough. Awesome. All right. Well, now over to Hollow.
Hey, I'm Hollow. You see him pronouns. You can find me on Blue Sky at Hollow Invective. You also can find, of course, you can find me here on Sundays when we're together. And Jim and I have a project coming up soon, so stay tuned for that.
Yes. Look for signups for a thing soon. I'm going to try to this week. I'm going to try to actually start getting that cobbled together. The first couple of weeks of July generally for me are in bubble wrap, typically. So it's I don't get to do a lot. I don't get a lot done. But at this point, I'm going to start. Hopefully, very soon. I'm going to throw a thing together, and you will see soon. A potential signups are starting for a thing very soon. If you like space, consider. Excellent. And I also must remember to prepare that you may wish to meet the thing that's standing behind you. So I will keep that in mind as well. Excellent. All right, folks. Well, I'm Jim. I am Otherdoc on Twitch, YouTube, and most social media platforms. Wherever I'm not Otherdoc, I'm Jim Yes That Jim. My website is jimyesthatjim.com, where you can find my Geek Observation podcast and links to my various other podcasts, audio dramas, writings, and such. Down below here, if you're watching live on Twitch, you can access my website, social media links, YouTube channel, and various other things. Coming up, I've got stuff happening this week. Over on another channel. On Thursday evening, I will be over on Lost Caravan playing Don't Rest Your Head. I have been running Don't Rest Your Head for about 15 years or so now. I have never once had a chance to play. I'm going to play in a one-shot of Don't Rest Your Head on that channel. I am ridiculously excited for that. Finally, I get to play. So if you would like to see me, finally, Turnabout Being Fair Play, if you'd like to see me running around terrified in the Mad City, tune in on Thursday for that. And then on Friday, also on Lost Caravan that evening, I am running the second part of a Monster of the Week Gothic Century scenario that I put together called Lights Out. So we did the first part last Thursday. Second part is this Friday. Come over and see that. They're in New York in 1886. And they've just figured out the kind of monster they're dealing with, potentially. And now they've just gotten in contact with another monster in an effort to try to figure things out about it. So I think that's going to be an absolute delight. So we're doing that on Friday evening. And then, of course, on Sundays, we do this. So come back, and with any luck, we'll once again have some folks over here on Sunday to progress, and we shall see what happens as the cycle continues to turn. We still have the better part of 4 days. I'm sure everything will be fine. Just fine. Everything will be fine. But
It'll be fun.
in the meantime, thank you all very much for watching. Take care, and we will catch you next time. Farewell.